Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm back. I've been away for a while. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Um, it's a new year, and I'm back, and we're gonna do. Um, I got some stuff to talk about today. So let's get right into this intro. Let's see. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so yeah. Hey everybody out there in LA. With the fires going on. I'm worried about everybody. Hope everybody is safe. My friends and family out there in LA, and everybody who's not my friend or family in LA, I'm worried about you too. So, worried about everybody out there. Stay safe. Stay out of the way of the fire, the flames. So, okay, so, yeah, the fire, I'm watching it from where I am here, and it's very distressing to see so much destruction and all the chaos and everything going on. So, really, I'm there with everybody. LA is my home, and I miss everybody, and I miss LA, and it's really sad to see so much burning and destruction out there in LA. So, wanted to say that. Good vibes to everybody out there in LA. And then I want to say, to all the Scientology protesters, congratulations. Keep up the good work. I'm with you on that as well. That's great to see everybody doing so much, especially Streets LA winning lawsuits and doing all the, hard legal work, DOA and Audit LA, and everybody else. There's just so many that I can't name everybody, but everybody out there, you're doing a great job, because these cults are very dangerous and destructive, and the average person doesn't understand how dangerous and destructive it is. It's kind of like drugs, or let's say fentanyl or something, right? People hear, oh yeah, it's dangerous, but they don't get it until somebody they know or their family ODs, or something happens to them directly, and then they go, oh wow, that's dangerous stuff. Cults are the same way. Nobody's thinking about how dangerous Scientology is, Hare Krishna, Moonies, Jehovah's Witnesses. Nobody's thinking about how dangerous it is until they find out somebody that they know or somebody in their family joined something, and now they're gone. Now they don't hear from them anymore. Now they're in India milking a cow. They're in India milking a cow, or they don't know where they are. They're somewhere because they joined a cult, and they ran off to Mexico, or they ran off to another side of the country, or another part of the world, or whatever. That's when it hits home. The average person doesn't realize what's going on with Scientology, what's going on with Hare Krishna, the human trafficking, the child marriages, the abuse, the child abuse, the racism, the sexism, all of that. The average person doesn't know that that's going on. They just think, oh, it's just a cult, and people join, and boy, you sure got to be crazy to join that thing. And they go on, what's for dinner? What's on TV? They get back to their lives. They don't care. They don't have time for that. That's somebody else's problem. And then so then the cults get to flourish, because nobody's concerned until it's them, until it's their dad, until it's their kid, until their kid is molested, or their dad, until they escape and they realize that they're in a cult and their mom and dad are still in the cult. Or whatever that personal experience is. Then people care. But other than that, nobody cares. So somebody joins the Hare Krishna, so what? So somebody wants to walk around with an auditing, with an Etch-a-Sketch thing and try to audit people. So what? That's how people think. Like, that doesn't, who are they hurting? They're hurting a lot of people. A lot of people. In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. Racism, sexism, child abuse. They're spreading this stuff like a cancer. They're spreading it. That's what's in their cult. And then they make excuse when people find out or people leave, they tell the truth. Hey, this is what's going on in there. Then the cult makes up all these excuses. And then they fool everybody. Go, no, we're not doing that. You got to be crazy to think we're doing it. This is the gaslighting. We don't do that. We're a church. We're a church. We're not. We don't do it. We don't traffic. Come on. Trafficking humans. Come on. Abusing children. Do you ever see any Scientology kids anywhere? Anywhere. Where are they? Hare Krishna kids, at least you see them. They don't. Hare Krishna brainwashing is so intense that it's just like, they don't need to keep people locked away and do all that. Hare Krishna, they got them so brainwashed that they gladly lock themselves away, and their kids are right out there, and they know about the abuse, and their kids are right there, and the kids are part of it. It's all part of a show to show that everything's okay. But you never see the kids in Scientology. You never see the kids. You never see Scientology kids. They're locked away. They're hidden from view. Hare Krishna kids are out there. They're out there playing and whatever, doing whatever. They're in the temple room or whatever out there. You see them running around. They're so brainwashed that even though there was a $400 million lawsuit of child abuse that went to court, the kids won. There's a whole group of kids that are like in denial, that are like, it's like Stockholm syndrome. They're like, oh no, we don't know. I got abused, but I don't know how they. A lot of the kids that were abused are still in the Hare Krishnas. Leaving is not an option to them. It's like, oh, I got abused in the Hare Krishnas. It's not like, no, you're in a cult. You can leave the cult. There's no leaving. There's no leaving the cult. There's no leaving the Hare Krishnas. Scientology, they track you down and drag you back, take you out to a bunker out in San Bernardino somewhere, and you never heard from again. You end up living in a cabin in Sequoia National Park. Who knows what they do with these people? Hare Krishna, they do that to themselves. They're like, yeah, I saw all this abuse and these gurus and this and all this happened, and they're like, too bad for them. Nothing ever happened to me. No, you just witnessed it. Yeah, but nothing happened. I mean, like, I saw it happening I saw all my friends getting molested, but I didn't get molested. So, I don't know. What am I supposed to know? Well, and I don't know. No, I don't know. So you saw all these crimes taking place, and you identify with the criminal or the victim. I don't know. I don't get it. How do you side with the criminal organization that was found guilty of doing all of this stuff to you and these other kids and your kids? You're a parent, and this cult you're in a cult, and this cult did this to your kids, and you're just like, I don't. I mean, once I figured it out, what was going on, I immediately. Well, it was dangerous, so it took me a couple of days, but I knew what I had to do, and I did it. I walked away. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm not promoting this disgusting cult. And then the more I realized what was going on, what was really happening, the more disgusting it became. The more I couldn't believe what I was part of this. I was part of this. That's what these people don't want to. They don't want to face the fact. They got bamboozled, and they were part of something disgusting. Child marriage, racism, saying that black people are third-class citizens, not even second class, third class. I mean, second. He wouldn't even say that they were second class. He said third class. Who's sitting in the Rolls Royce? A third-class Negro. Third class. And then they got the nerve to sit there and say, well, this Indian motherfucker told me that Prabhupada wasn't racist because Krishna was black. Well, I'm sorry, but Krishna was blue. And even if Krishna was black, Krishna was blue. And in all the temples that I've ever been to, Krishna's statue is white. There's maybe one or two where Krishna is actually black. And that's fine. Krishna can be black. But Prabhupada didn't. When you say he's black, when Prabhupada says Krishna is blue, he's bluish, he's blackish, and Krishna means black, blue, black, it doesn't mean, he's not saying he's African. He's saying he had dark blue skin. And when you see pictures of Krishna, he is depicted as a little Indian boy with blue skin. He's not depicted as an African American or an African from Africa or an African from any part of the world. He's depicted as a little Indian boy with blue skin, not a little African boy. Don't try and tell me that Krishna was African. Don't try and tell me Krishna was African. Prabhupada didn't even like dark Indians. Prabhupada was so friggin' racist. He made fun of Abraham Lincoln. He sarcastically, when someone mentioned to Prabhupada, oh my goodness. When someone mentioned to Prabhupada that he was, oh, now I forgot what I was saying. I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, I apologize for that. My goodness. I gotta remember to turn my phone off before I start streaming. But anyway, so I completely forgot what I was saying. But what the point that I was making was that Krishna was not African, and Prabhupada was racist. Prabhupada was racist, and he was talking about Abraham Lincoln. And so what Prabhupada said, so when they were talking about Abraham Lincoln was the greatest American president, Prabhupada sarcastically said, "Oh, but didn't he free the slaves?" As if that would negate him being the greatest U.S. president. Because that was the point the Prabhupada was making, was that how could he be great when he freed the slaves? Because he says it in a negative and in a contradictory manner. Like Abraham was Lincoln, he's like, oh, but didn't he free the slaves? He also has made many other racist comments about blacks, about how they were simple and how they could be claimed. We could claim them, use them, and then they also want to make the point that, well, Prabhupada let black people into his movement, and so he couldn't have been racist if he let black people into his movement. And my answer to that is, well, that's like saying slave owners. Oh, here we go again. I don't know how to turn this off. Let me see if I can somehow. There we go. There we go. I got that turned off. No, I guess it's not turned off. There we go. So, anyway, I want to. Evidently, something's happening. Something's happening in my life that I'm supposed to be taking care of that I'm not. Once again, let me try and get my thoughts back together. That's how it is here in Thailand. It's like you never know what's going to happen. It's so hard to find the time sometimes to do these things. And then when you find the time, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. Oh, but anyway, let's see, fires, Scientology, Abraham Lincoln. I talked about Abraham Lincoln. So anyway, I want to show you real quick how these. What I was going to say is, it's like saying that a slave owner isn't racist because he allows black people to be slaves. How can he be racist? He lets black people be slaves on his plantation. Doesn't that show you that he loves black people? Because that's basically what Prabhupada was doing. It was like he's like, yeah, we can use these black people. I'll use them to further my movement, to sell my books, to open my temples, to do whatever I need done. I can use them. He didn't like them, but he's like, I'll use them. I don't care. He made the statements that they should have remained in the jungles, that they never should have been given freedom. He didn't like the idea of civil rights. He thought they were drunkards. He thought they were this and that. All these statements I've shown before. I don't need to go over them again. I could, but I don't need to. I don't need to go over that stuff again. But I will show here how they want to portray black people in ISKCON somehow negates everything racist that Prabhupada says. They don't want to address the racist thing that he says. They just want to say, oh, well, look, we have black people in we have black people in here, so that means he's not, all those racist things are not, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. I don't know what it's supposed to mean.
To respond to things in a very particular way. And that social obligation may be at odds with how you're personally impacted by things. So that creates a tension. And then on top of that, you have the plethora of perspectives of how you should respond to things. And so you're like trying to navigate the plethora of perspectives, and that creates more tension. And then on top of that, and this is only going to be for a small minority, you have people who actually know scripture, who actually studied it, and you're trying to like bring that element into their psyche as well. And so all that taken together, this is my personal experience. It's been arresting, so that I'm not able to act in any way, because it's like, well, do I do this? Do I go with this? And well, whose perspective do I follow? And so the feeling's been very much like arrested. And so that's where my answer is. Like, I can't say definitively that this is the best thing to do. But if I have to do something right away, then I'm going to do what I'm accustomed to doing and trying to connect people to Krishna in my own small way.
Kishore, what do you think how do you think devotees should react? What are the responsibilities of devotees of Krishna at this time? From your perspective, your realization, you don't have to, just kind of, what is your perspective on that?
Yeah. Well, something that I think about is, when we talk about devotees, I've seen more and more lately that there's a lot of anxiety about, devotees kind of throwing philosophy at people and not really being sensitive to how they feel. And I feel like there's something to that. I think that, how Jai Jagannath was saying, people's ideas about solutions come from their own experiences as well. And so I think as devotees, when we have experiences of having the philosophy thrown at us and not being heard, not feeling cared for, not feeling valued, then we begin to, I feel like that kind of, you can say, mindset develops that devotees don't have, the devotees are just going through philosophy, and that we really need to remember to be compassionate. And something that I think is that if, these qualities of compassion and empathy and like this, these are all qualities of a Vaishnava.
Right.
But we maybe have not spent enough time to actually meditate on that, or I can say for myself to imbibe those qualities. And we're separating the philosophy of the Vaishnava from the behavior of the Vaishnava. And so I think we need to reconnect those two things, because as we see from our own contemporary Vaishnava leaders and from our Vaishnava acharyas, that they exemplify these qualities. And so I think within our own, for me, growing up in the movement, when I see these things going on, I think about also in our own movement, how, these things go on, and how I think there's a lack of taking care of our devotees. I think that we haven't really come together as communities to really support each other. And that lack of care for devotees engenders maybe a little bit of maybe mistrust or.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what point he's trying to make, or what point they're trying to make in this discussion about racism and Black Lives Matter and Krishna with this roundtable with all these black devotees here, because they're not going to address the racism that is within ISKCON, within Prabhupada's books. And that is the most important part. And because there is so much racism in Prabhupada's books, in his lectures, in what he says about black people, about Negroes being in the jungles and just being less intelligent and being drunkards, and how if you build a library, they're just going to come for drinking and sex. They're not going to come to read in a library, and how black people just cause disturbances, and how they're just rapists. And I mean, this is hardcore racist shit that just would not be. It wasn't tolerated then, and it shouldn't have been tolerated then, and it definitely shouldn't be tolerated today. The stuff that he said, the stuff that's in his books, that's in his lectures, the things that he says in his conversations about black people, about let's claim them, and all these other things that are in his books. And these people are just going to sit there and act like he doesn't say these things. Like these things are not like this is not part of this movement. This guy that said all these things is the founder. He's the guy that they worship as if he's God himself, like he's talked to Krishna Krishna dictated this stuff. They just want people to look and go, look, we got all these black people in here. How can we be racist? Because it's a cult. And you've convinced these people that being black, that black people, that Prabhupada was right. Every single one of these people believes that everything that Prabhupada said is a fact and real and true and cannot be questioned. Cannot be questioned at all. Can't question anything that Prabhupada says. Prabhupada says that blacks belong in the jungles, then blacks belong in the jungles. If Prabhupada says black people are less intelligent and are drunkards and only go to the library for drinking and having sex, then that's true. But they accept it. If Prabhupada said it, they accept it. There's videos of these gurus in ISKCON saying, if Prabhupada said it, that's it. And Prabhupada said a lot of shit. He said 16-year-old girls have to be married to 25-year-old men. Now, where is that normal, except in the Taliban? Who believes that? These guys do because they believe everything Prabhupada says. Prabhupada said black people belong in the jungles. You don't think that if they had the opportunity to put black people back in the jungles, that they wouldn't? You gotta be crazy. You gotta be absolutely crazy. These people are insane. Little girls have to be married. 16-year-old girls, prepubescent. Prabhupada says, in one place he says 16-year-olds to 25-year-olds. In other places he says, before puberty, little girls have to get married. What friggin' weirdo, what? He's your guru? This is your guru? This is what I say to these guys. That's your guru? A guy who says that little girls before puberty have to be married? There's no freedom for them. There's no human rights for them. There's no human rights for them. And if you have a child, if they expect your little girl to get married at 11, 12, 13-year-old because some weirdo wants to get married to some little girl. This is what I'm talking about, and people don't know that this is going on. That girl grew up in it. She was raped, and then her mother friggin' married her off to some guy in India. That alone tells you exactly what this cult is about. Exactly what this cult is about. That right there. And the fact that she said Prabhupada condoned all of that, and the guy didn't even know what she was talking about. Because they don't know. They don't know. I didn't know. I had to figure it out. Once I figure it out, I'm out of there. You know, the thing is, they figure that if you are in it that long and you figure it out, you're going to be so brainwashed, you're not going anywhere. Like most of these kids, like most of these people right here, all these people right here, if they figured out what was really going on and knew the truth, and were able to connect all the dots, they'd probably stay. Some of them would stay. Some of them would leave. Some of them would stay. This is a disgusting cult that brainwashes these people into hating, to thinking that their own kind, their own people, black people, belong in the jungles, and that this cult couldn't possibly be racist because they let black people in. Just like, well, the plantation owner, the slave owner, wasn't racist because he had black slaves. Yep, that's how much sense it makes. If he was really racist, he'd only have white slaves. He wouldn't have black slaves. If he really hated black people, if he really hated black people, he wouldn't even have them as slaves. How could you blame that? But that's what Prabhupada's like. I don't care. I'll use black people, white people, women, children. Prabhupada didn't give a shit about his own kids in his own movement. He didn't give a fuck about these kids. When he found out that these kids were molested, he didn't do shit. He did zero. The only thing he cared about was that people would find out. It's disgusting fucking bullshit. Fucking disgusting bullshit. And they want to march, these people want to march in the Martin Luther King Day parade. After all this shit. Child marriage, women are stupid, have half a brain, black people belong in the jungles, civil rights was a failure because now white people hate black people hate white people. This is the shit that Prabhupada's preaching about. You think that Hare Krishna is about love and peace and happiness and chanting and this and that? No. Prabhupada was like, black people, he said, you read his lecture, just go to the program and type in Negro on the PrabhupadaBooks.com and read all the stuff that he said about Negroes. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Where is it? I'll show it. I'll show you how easy it is. I think I got rid of it. Here it is, right here. I'm so professional. You just go to PrabhupadaBooks.com and you can read about what Prabhupada said about being married, about the little girls being married. You can read all about Prabhupada saying every person must get married, especially women. Women must get married. If the women outnumber the men, then men can have more than one wife. He says the women must surrender to their husbands. Women should never be given freedom. When she is not under the protection of her husband, she must be under the protection to protect his daughter until she attains puberty and is married to a suitable young man. If you want sex, get married and have Krishna conscious children. No illicit sex, no intoxication. He's not talking about for his cult. He's talking about this is the way it should be. This is like Taliban stuff. Of course he's talking about his movement, but he's talking about his movement being the ultimate end, is the whole world is this way. This is the end result of his cult, is that it's going to save the world. Same like Scientology. Everybody has to get audited eventually. Mormons, everybody has to eventually be baptized into being a Mormon. It's all everybody. It's not like it's up to your choice. It's not like you get to choose whether to be a Jehovah's Witness or not. No, they're out there knocking on everybody's door because they expect at some point everybody's going to be one. Otherwise, why go do it? If it was up to you, they just can't force you. They just can't force you right now, but that's what they want to do, just like the Taliban, and they can take over. Taliban wants to take over Pakistan, so they can force everybody there to be a Taliban. So this arrangement that woman must be married before puberty. Here's the anyway, yeah, so you can go yourself and look these things up. You don't need me to. I've done it. I've done many videos where I've shown all of these things. Of course, I can't show every one, but I've shown a lot of them. And they're right there for everybody to see. Online. You can read all the filth, all the disgusting things he says about child marriage. The stuff that he says about the girl is married to a husband, she's hankering after a child. If she thinks now I'm married, I must execute. I should not be impatient. One should be married. One must have children. That is not illicit association. But people should not be cats or dogs or hogs in the matter of sex life. They must have married life. So people have to get married. You have to have children. He's very totalitarian as far as he says, so the Vedic principle is every girl must be married by the guardian father in order to get her married some way or other, find out any husband. And every girl has to be married. Every girl must be married. Girl must be married to a man. The man may have many wives. Polygamy. Still, every woman should be married, and she would to the spiritual. But husband and wife, they can be initiated. Therefore, it is advised that until one is married with an intelligent husband, she must be difficult. She will not be married. So, I mean, you can look this stuff up and you can see exactly where this man's head is at and what he is filling the heads of his followers with, because they read this stuff and they believe this stuff. They believe every word of it. All this stuff about getting married at 12 years old, 11 years, then she must be married. Up to 16 years at most. I mean, she has to be married by 16 years old. He wants every girl married before she's turned 16. This is what he is saying. My sisters were married between 9 to 12 years old. My eldest sister was married when she was married at the age of 11. 12 years, the marriage must be. I was also married man. I was married when my wife... What does he say here? I'm trying to find what he's saying here. When I was married when my wife was only 11 years old, he says. And at the age of 14 years, she gave birth to first child. When my eldest daughter was married at the age of 16 years, it is a little increased. But I was also very much upset that the daughter is 16 years old. So he says himself, and he said in another place that he was 22 years old and she was 11. This guy was 22 years old. His wife was 11. He says it right here in this lecture. She was 11 years old. My eldest sister was married when she was 9 years old, before my birth. She is the eldest. My second sister was married at the age of 12 years. And my third sister was married at the age of 11 years. I was married when my wife was only 11 years old. He was 11 years old when he married his wife. And he says in another lecture, in another conversation, that he was 22 years old when he honeymooned her. And she was 11, and she cried. And here is another place where he says that he married her when she was 11. She was 11 years old when this dirty old man married her, and he was 22. He was 22 years old. He married an 11-year-old girl, a little girl, 11 years old. And he says that that is the standard, that's the way it should be. He says it in his books. He says it in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, chapter 17, verse 38, purport. All girls must be married. 16 years old, 25-year-old men. 16-year-old girls, 25-year-old men. But in other places he says before puberty. Before puberty. Because he says right here, 9. My sisters are married between 9. His sister got married at 9 years old. Now can you believe marrying your 9-year-old daughter off to some old man? To some 22-year, giving your 9-year-old daughter to a 22-year-old man? Doesn't that sound fucking sick? And I don't care. I don't care if you say, well, back then. He's saying that for now. He wrote this book in 1965, 66, 67. He gave this lecture in May 13th, 1973. So he's not talking about, he's not saying, oh, back then this is the way, this was the wrong. He's saying this is the right way. He's saying right here, polygamy is allowed, just like our most exalted. But he's saying that this is the way it should be. He's repeating this not to say that it was wrong. He's repeating it to say that this is the way, that's the way it should be. So you can say, well, back then that's what they did. Yeah, and it was wrong. And he's not saying, he's not admitting that it was wrong. He's saying that it was right. And that it should continue. And all these people believe him. They don't say, oh, he was wrong when he said this. They believe every single word he says. Every single word that he says. They believe it, they preach it. It's like these people said, I'm just happy to be spreading Krishna consciousness. This guy, I'm just happy to be on the plantation doing God's work. I'm just happy to be working under a slave owner who's giving me the opportunity to work his plantation. And if I can get more people on the plantation, then great. That's what he's saying. With child marriage and racism, and black people are this, and black people are third class. How can you sit there?
Or feeling that, kind of just like, throwing the book at people. And so,
and
I
promote
feel like
this.
Something that I would want to kind of bring up is how, by practicing as devotees, by practicing Krishna consciousness.
How can you sit there and promote being Krishna conscious and practicing Krishna consciousness when it was founded by this guy who said that black people should never have come out of the jungle, and they should have remained slaves and never even given civil rights, and that Abraham Lincoln was a fool for freeing slaves. And that since getting civil rights, all they do is cause problems now. He wasn't even for civil rights. And they're going to march in the Martin Luther King Day parade, and Prabhupada wasn't even for civil rights. Prabhupada didn't think they deserved civil rights. Prabhupada didn't think they deserved freedom from slavery. And these guys are going to go march in the Martin Luther King Day parade? The nerve of these people. You might as well have the KKK march in the Martin Luther King Day parade. Why not? Why not have the KKK march? You got these guys in there. These guys are worshiping a guy who said that Negroes were third class and didn't belong in a Rolls Royce because that was a first class car, and you got third class Negroes sitting in it. And these guys have the nerve to go march in the Martin Luther King Day parade and pretend like he didn't say that, and pretend like they don't believe that. Because first of all, you gotta ask him two questions. Did he really say that? Yes, he really said that. Well, do you believe it? And they're gonna say, well, yeah. Because it's coming from Krishna. Prabhupada didn't say it. Krishna said it. Krishna's saying these things. And Krishna's giving us the intelligence that we can become Hare Krishnas, and we can get out of this bodily conception of life and this material world and all this stuff. This is plain and simple racism that you're refusing to address. You're refusing to address it. If Prabhupada was this pure devotee guru on another transcendental plane, why is he bringing up bodily concepts like black body? And why do you continue to bring up bodily concepts like black body devotees? Why did Prabhupada make the distinction between Negroes and white people, saying that Negroes were third class? He didn't say white people were third class. He didn't say there's a first class Rolls Royce car and look, there's a human in the car. He said there's a third class Negro in it. That's racism, plain and simple. I mean, you can't explain that away with all their mumbo jumbo. It just doesn't. It doesn't fly. It doesn't go anywhere. That's a dead bird. It's just that goes right to the ground. And you're going to try and tell me that Krishna was black, so that therefore Prabhupada wasn't racist? When Prabhupada said like a million racist things? He wasn't talking about Krishna. He was talking about African Americans and African Americans. Causing problems, causing rioting, causing raping, causing crime, stealing his typewriter, accusing the superintendent of his building of stealing his typewriter simply because the superintendent was black. No other reason to blame other than he was black. He knew it was a black person did it. He knew he was in a black neighborhood, so he was a black person that did it. Because it would never happen. That would never yeah, poor white people don't steal things. Like there's no theft in India. Like there's no crime anywhere except in a black neighborhood by black people. Nobody steals, nobody robs, nobody does it. Bonnie and Clyde never existed. Jesse James, Billy the Kid, they never existed. Jack the Ripper, Boston Strangler, Al Capone, all these famous white criminals that did great white crimes. they never done. No, it's black people. The black people do all the crime. So naturally, if something got stolen or something happened, you look for the black guy. It had to have been the black. It had to have been the manager of my building because he's black. So I just know it was him. And that's what Prabhupada says in his autobiography. That's what Prabhupada wrote in his diary. I just know it was him. Can't prove it, but I know it was him. That's not racist. That's not racist. I mean, maybe it was him, but to say that it was him because he was black is just racist. That's like saying only, in his mind, it had to have been the black guy. Even though in that neighborhood, you had all kinds of drunk people. All kinds of bums and but it was the black guy that did it. It was definitely the black guy that did it. And this is the guy, and the racism, the sexism, abuse against children. I mean, how can you promote child marriage and not consider that child abuse? That's child abuse. To marry a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old girl, 12, 13-year-old girl, marry that girl off to a grown man because in your mind she has to be married? Like that is so crucial. I mean, that's not even like that's against like the United Nations resolution on human rights, fundamental human right, to deprive a child of an education, of an upbringing, of a childhood, to marry off an 11-year-old girl, to marry an 11-year-old girl off to deprive her of a childhood, of self-determination, of choosing what she wants to do with her life at 11 years old? At 11? Or even at 13, 14, 15, 16? A 16-year-old girl should not be forced in. No woman should be forced. Girl, young woman, grown woman, no female should be forced into marriage. And that was Prabhupada's whole thing, was that women have to be controlled by men. If they're not, the world is just going to be chaotic. Women are going to just do whatever they want, and they're going to produce unwanted children, and these unwanted children are going to do whatever they want, and it's just going to cause problems, and you can already see it, and that was his whole philosophy, in a nutshell. Why? Because women are the problem. They're Maya Devi. They're represented as what tempts men to do bad things, to do wrong things, to fall down, to not be spiritual, to give up spiritual life, to eat the apple, so to speak, whatever it is. Women are the problem, as every cult is going to say, that women are the problem. And that's what you see the MAGA cult doing today as well. Women are the problem. Women are the problem for the fires in LA. Women are the problem for the Democratic, whatever it is, it's always women. Women, minorities, they're the problem. It's white supremacy. And that's what Prabhupada was. He was a white supremacist. He didn't like minorities. He didn't like black people. He didn't like women. He didn't like children. I mean, how can you love children if you're marrying 11-year-old girls off to grown men? How can you give a fuck about a child? How can you give a fuck about a child if you're marrying an 11-year-old girl off? 11-year-old girls. I see these kids running around my condo here playing and going to school, and they're like 9, 10, 11 years old, just running around playing, being girls. He wants those girls married. It just blows my mind when I think about this guy and how these people follow him. like he's some god, like he's some guru god who's going to save the friggin' world. He's going to save the world by having every child married off? Well, not every man. Men get to do whatever they want until they're 25. But 11-year-old girls, they don't get to do what they want. No. No woman gets to do what they want. They have to get married. And the earlier you marry them, the earlier you break them, that's basically what you say. The earlier you marry them, the earlier you break them, the better chance you have of having them stick, even though he couldn't do it. He married an 11-year-old girl when he was 22 years old. She ended up hating the fuck out of him and pissing him off, and they hated each other. And that just shows you that this is bullshit. It's all bullshit. He couldn't even do it. He couldn't do it. He was 22, married an 11-year-old girl. Did the whole Vedic thing. And what did she end up doing? She ended up selling his fucking case of books for a box of tea to piss him off. Because she hated his guts. Why did she hate his guts? Because he raped her when she was an 11-year-old girl. You think she liked that fuck? His whole theory, his whole philosophy totally blew up in his face. If everything he said was right, she should have been his number one devotee. She should have been his friggin' Lakshmi right there, massaging his feet, distributing his books, cooking his prasadam, all of that. No, she didn't do any of that shit. She didn't want nothing to do with that. Because she knew he was nothing but a fucking dirty old man, and now he was pretending to be some guru guy. And she didn't fall for that. She knew he couldn't control himself. He's doing snuff. He's doing whatever the fuck. He couldn't control himself around her when she was 11. She knew what a creep he was. And now he's going to pretend like he's some Bhaktivedanta Swami. She's like, fuck that shit. He couldn't make her. He was this great savior of the world, this great acharya, whatever, but he couldn't friggin' convince his wife that he raped when she was 11 years old? That was supposed to fall in love with him now and be all into him forever according to the Vedic principle, which is a bunch of bullshit. You look at his life, he was a failure at everything. He was a failure at that. He couldn't graduate college. He couldn't have a family. He couldn't get his wife to follow him or whatever. She hated his guts. He's a failure at that. College dropout. Failure at family life. Tried to print a book, tried to print a magazine. Failed at that. Wrote a bunch of books, couldn't sell them. Tried to become a guru, couldn't do that. Couldn't even pay for his own trip to America. He had to friggin' beg for a ticket from some old lady. She was nice enough, I don't know why she didn't do it. She was nice enough to give him a ticket on her ship. Probably because she wrote it off on her taxes or something. There must have been some reason why she gave him a ticket to let him travel. Probably didn't cost anything. Probably she thought she was I don't know why. Comes to America and starts a cult, selling books with some hippies, some gay hippies that he didn't even like them, because he didn't like gays, but he didn't care that they were gay because they were going to sell his books for him. So they were going to help him write his books and help sell his books. So he tolerated them just like he tolerated the black people. Tolerated everybody. exploit anybody. He'd exploit anybody. Gays, he's going to sit there and talk about how gays are born from the ass of Lord Brahma, how they're demoniac, how they're mental and all this other horrible stuff. He's going to say all that in his books, and then he's going to turn around and have his first group of disciples are all gay. And he's going to write all this racist shit in his books about blacks, and he's going to convince some black people to join. Use them. Yeah, you guys. I don't care. This guy was a friggin' loser, man. And look at all these all the people around him that he made gurus. They were all failures too. If you're not in the cult, do you know who any of these guys are? Does the world know who any of these guys are? Anyone. You walk up to anybody on the street, just ask anybody on the street, what's ISKCON? What's Hare Krishna? They're going to go, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If these guys were pure devotees and these guys are whatever, well, how come nobody knows who they are? You got 150 of them. They all think they're friggin' the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, we know who he is. It's the Dalai Lama. He's on TV, he does his thing, whatever. We know who he is. The Pope. We know who the Pope is. We see him. We even know who some of these people, we don't even know who they are. We don't even care. These preachers on TV, they're so big. Joel Osteen. Hey, who the frig is Joel Osteen? He's friggin' nobody. But people know who he is. People know who he is. He's so friggin' popular. He's so big. And there's a bunch of people like Joel Osteen. I can't think. Benny Hinn and Marilyn McCoo or Marilyn whatever friggin' name is. They're all scammers. They're all fake, phony. But they're so friggin' huge. We know who they are. Who's a Hare Krishna? Who friggin' knows who a Hare Krishna guy is? Hey, Danielle. It's been wet and rainy in Singapore, huh? Wow, well, stay dry. Stay dry. We're a little cold. It's a little cold. Not cold, but it's like temperatures dipping here. Here where I am. In Thailand, temperatures getting down. Down into the, like, low 70s. In the low 70s. But, yeah. Who are these guys? I mean, I know some of their names. I mean, I could rattle off a bunch of names, but I don't need to. But I know who they're. But does the world know who these guys are? Even Scientology, like, not everybody knows who the head of Scientology is, but there's a percentage of people, of the population, of just the ordinary people, who know that there's a guy at the head of Scientology and that his name is David Miscavige or whatever, right? They're like, yeah, I know that guy. I don't know who he is, but I know, yeah, there's that guy, that David guy or whatever. They know. But Hare Krishna, these guys are supposed to be saving the world. These guys are supposed to be like the connecting the sampradaya, this, that. Who knows who? Nobody knows who these guys are. Radhanath Swami, Hridayananda, Jaya Potato Head. These guys? And the main ones that Prabhupada put in place were all failures too. Prabhupada failed at everything. His school was a failure. All his kids got molested. All his teachers turned out to be horrible people that he put in charge. All his gurus, all his main disciples ended up going nuts and doing weird, getting their head chopped off and running drugs and guns and doing all kinds of stuff and molesting kids and who knows what. And when I say who knows what, I literally mean who knows what. I mean, the stories come out that are unbelievable. And I go, yeah, that's unbelievable. But the stuff that we know happened is unbelievable. So how is it unbelievable? Like when I hear the stories of, like, when I hear the story about that woman, tell her story about how she was molested and abused up until 13, and then she got raped, and then the horrible stuff, and married, I would go, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. She got to be making that up. No, she's not making it up. So when I hear something else from somebody else going, well, they sent me in a room and I had to give a blowjob to this guru, and I go, that's unbelievable. But the other story was unbelievable. The other story was unbelievable. So how can I? You're telling me? I mean, I mean, I understand. I understand. It's unbelievable stuff. And you're spot on. No one knew these giant potato heads and crazies from ISKCON, and children should be protected from cults and crackheads. People don't know. And they have these festivals, and these people go, like in Venice Beach and Central Park and Golden Gate Park, all over the world, Paris and in London, and they have these big parades, and it's a big, and who's there? These child molesters are there. These child molesters and these guys that know about the child molesters, and there's a lot of child molesters, and there's victim. I mean, it's a whole friggin' circus. All right, you got gurus there that are in charge of this whole friggin' thing, and then you got among those gurus that are overseeing the whole thing. This whole thing of child molesting, all that. There's gurus that are actually molesting kids. They're there too. And then you've got the people, just the regular cult Hare Krishna people. They're molesters. I mean, they're not every one of them, but there's molesters in there. And then there's the victims are in there. Because the victims are in. Oh my God. It's insane. Okay, it's insane. You go to a Hare Krishna festival thing, and you've got the pedophile protectors, the predator protectors, the predators, the victims, and then everybody else, the people that are perpetrators and victims themselves, because then you got the people that are being used as a prop to make it look like, hey, we're just here having a good time. It's like so sinister. That is beyond belief. Like if I didn't know, if I didn't know what I know, and I was telling me this stuff, I would be sitting here going, no. I would be going, Mike, you're out of your mind. It's just a Hare Krishna festival at Venice Beach. How can you say that there's gurus there, and how can you say that there's predators and pedophiles and pedophile protectors and victims and perpetrator victims all commingling in the same? And I would say, because I was there. And I know who's there. And I know what they know. And I know who they know. And I know who they know. I know what they know and who they know. And I know the victims. And I know what they know. I've heard from them. I'm a victim. My daughter is a victim. That's how I know. That's how I can sit here and say that. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. And that's where the gaslighting comes in. That's where these people come in. That's where these people come in. We got to put these people on so that people don't believe people like Mike. We got to put people on there. We got to counteract this stuff. But they never address the racism itself. They don't never address Prabhupada and the things that he says, the things that he did, the things that are in his books. They just want to get on there and talk about how wonderful it is to be in this movement that's so inclusive, and we don't see color, and we're not on a bodily platform, and we're transcendental to all of that stuff. It's all bullshit. How do I know it's all bullshit? Because I was there. I was in it. Black body devotee. How can you be transcendental to the bodily concept or the bodily platform, but you identify everybody as to what kind of body they have? That is so hypocritical and so just against everything. And then they just throw that around like it's no big deal. All these black body devotees. Oh, that black body devotee over there. Oh, she has a female body because she's less intelligent because she's got a female body. You know how many times I heard that shit? Sometimes they say that right in front of the woman's face. Oh, that's why you're less intelligent. That's why you got a small brain. They get mad and you know how many times I've seen that? And the woman, they just take it. They just take it. They can't speak up. They can't defend themselves. They want to. Well, what can you do? What can you do when that's what the guru says? Checkmate. I'm just repeating what Prabhupada says. So if I'm repeating what Prabhupada says and you get mad at me, that's your problem. That's what they told me. That's what they told me when I said 11 years old. Well, yeah. Prabhupada says 11 years old. Well, girls can get married at 11 years old. So you're the one with the problem. You're the one with the problem. Your daughter's 11 years old, but Prabhupada says that's old enough. So why you got a problem with what Prabhupada says? So these are the kind of people that are in this cult. This is the thinking of these people that are in this cult. And what causes this thinking? The cult does. This is all coming from the cult, coming from the books, the lectures, the videos, everything that Prabhupada says, everything that they repeat, because they're repeating this stuff. And it's not subliminal. Stuff is blatantly in the books. When they go to their morning Bhagavatam class and their evening Bhagavad Gita class, they're hearing this stuff. Repeated. Women are less intelligent. Black people are black body devotees are less intelligent, and blah blah blah. They're hearing it. Mudras, sudras. Sudra that means blacks, the sudras. Now, the Hare Krishna are going to say, well, no, everybody's a Sudra. No. That's what they want you to think. That's what they want you to think. That's just like they want you to think that marrying children at 11 years old is somehow Vedic. Marrying little girls at 11 years old is somehow Vedic. Women being under the protection of a man their whole entire life is somehow Vedic. It's Vedic culture. It's the way it should be. That is Taliban shit, man. This is Taliban shit. Women have to be under the control of a man their whole life. Little girls have to get married at 11 years old to some old man. And Prabhupada brainwashes these people through these books, through this spiritual crap, to where this woman, when her daughter is raped, she feels that she's got to marry this girl off to some other guy. That her daughter is somehow some kind of property that's now fouled or less valuable now. So she needs to marry her violated daughter off to whatever man will take her now. Because she didn't take her daughter and seek therapy or pursue rape charges against the guy or against the cult or leave the cult or have any moment of rational thinking, rational thought. Like, no. My daughter got raped. Oh, I better marry her. I got to marry her to some man now and ship her off to India. Like, how does that? That's like the opposite of mothering. That's like the opposite of parenting. That in itself is abuse. That is like such horrific abuse. And I'm glad that she said in the video that she had issues with her mother, and then eventually, before her mother passed away, she reconciled with her mother. So that was between her and her mother, and I'm glad that she was able to resolve that with her mother. But the way I feel about the whole thing is different. Like, I didn't reconcile with her mother, and I'm glad she did. But that doesn't mean that what her mother did is excusable or it gives any validation just because the daughter reconciled with her mother. I mean, that's something that, that's something that's got to happen, or something's got to happen. So, but that has nothing to do with the actual act. The act of reconciliation of what happened has nothing to do with what happened. What happened. And like how the mother was able to become so brainwashed into this Vedic culture, or this Vedic, that she believed that the child got raped, and that she didn't need any therapy or anything. She didn't need any therapy or anything. She just needed to get married to another guy. Like, perpetrators sponsoring perpetrators, and the cycle of never-ending foulness. And it is like I think of like how many books I distributed, how much I contributed to trying to bring people into this disgusting cult. I had no idea I had no idea. But I can't, that's part of the reconciliation. Like, I have to reconcile that with myself, but it has nothing to do with that I actually did it. Like, I was out there distributing books. I would distribute books for free. I would buy the books myself, and then I would distribute them. And if I couldn't get money for them, I would just give them away. I would put books places where free books were. If there were places where you could leave a book, I'd leave a Krishna book. I would participate in Harinam. I would go out and chant, and I would participate in the Rath Yatra festivals and all the festivals at the LA Temple. Trips to India, doing, just being around them. You're part of their you're part of their decoration. So you are just by being there, you're part of it, even if you're not doing anything. Like just by going there, and just by going, because then someone on the outside looks at me and goes, well, that guy's there. Must be okay. It's not okay. And I know it's not okay. And I'm there. And I'm making it look like it's okay. Because some outsider walks by and sees me and they go, well, that guy looks normal. And he's there. I shouldn't be there. I shouldn't have anything to do with it. Being there. Just, I mean, it only makes sense. Like if you're not a gambler, and you're against gambling, you shouldn't be hanging out at a casino. And now you can go to a casino and go, well, I don't gamble. I'm just at the casino having lunch or whatever. Well, but you're given the impression that you're a gambler or that you condone gambling and that you're actually encouraging people, because people will look and go, oh, look, that guy's in the casino and the casino must be okay. That guy looks okay. And now I'm associated. They use my picture for an advertisement for the casino. Casinos are great, and there I am. So that, that's part of being, associating with us, guilty by association, birds of a feather, you're known by who you hang out with. These are the type of things that you have to deal with that. I mean, it might not be fair. It might not always be, obviously, if I'm at a Hare Krishna temple, I'm not pro Hare Krishna. But somebody on the outside doesn't know that. They look at me and they go, well, hey, look, there's Mike Sandoval. He's at the Hare Krishna temple. I know him. He's a cool guy. They must be cool. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. So, it's... There is that aspect of it, of associating, and I would not go to a Krishna festival. I would not go to a Krishna restaurant. That would be one of many reasons. One, I don't want to associate with those people. Two, I don't want to give the illusion that I'm part of it. Three, I don't want to give, like I was saying about just the association of legitimizing that place, like it's normalizing the Krishna temple or normalizing Govinda's restaurant. I would not go to a Govinda's restaurant. Just out of out of principle, I'm not going to a Govinda's restaurant, because I know who's running it. I know what's happening. I know where the money's going. I know what they're part of. I know the purpose of a Govinda's restaurant, and I'm not going to be part of that. And I'm not going to associate with it. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I saw one recently. I saw a devotee recently, and I'll tell you the story. So I went on this trip last week, and I was in another part of Thailand, far from where I am, and a little place, and a lot of tourists there, and beautiful place. I mean, it's gorgeous. And it's not, not overly crowded, not crowded like in the U.S., but it's a lot of tourists. It's a famous place, and I'm walking, and I'm looking at some stuff, and the guy's got neck beads, and I'm like, Hare Krishna. And sure enough, he turns around and he's got the Sika. He's got the Sika. And I'm like, I go, oh, he must be from Vrindavan, because he was Indian. So I said, hey, are you from India? Are you from Vrindavan? And he goes, no. He goes, no, but I'm in ISKCON. And I was like, oh, okay, later. And I turned around and I walked away, and I took like about 5 steps, like maybe 3 doors down, and it was a Govinda's restaurant. And I was like, you're with Govinda's restaurant. You're like, you got Govinda's restaurant, and you got your little sandal shop or whatever that you're doing. So that's what you're doing there. But like most people wouldn't know. Most people, I would say 99% of the people that are walking around that area, they don't know that they don't know that Govinda's restaurant is Hare Krishna, and they don't know the history of Hare Krishna. They don't know about the child molesting and the predators and the racism and the sexism and the child marriage, and they don't know all about that. So they go in there and they go, oh, look, vegetarian food. Oh, this looks like, Taste of India. It looks good. Govinda's, let's go in there. And they go in there, and it's all run by Hare Krishnas, and all that money, it's overpriced food. Anyway, and all that money just going into the pedophile cult to be used to spread their pedophile crap about racism and sexism and all that. So I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And nobody should have anything to do with that. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. I just want to say once again, Martin Luther King in the U.S., Martin Luther King Day is a big day. Parades all over. And in L.A., there's a big fire going on, and everything's being postponed, including the Martin Luther King Day parade, which is a good thing, but it will be rescheduled, and the word needs to get out that that the Hare Krishnas have no place in the Martin Luther King Day parade. That the Hare Krishnas are a racist, sexist, pedophile, predator protecting cluster of whatever, of criminality, a cluster of criminalities, and that should be avoided at all costs, and they should not be allowed to march in any parade. In any parade anywhere should not be sullied and dirtied with the presence of any Hare Krishna cult anywhere in the world. So I'm going to end it right there. Thanks everybody for watching. Spread the word. Share the videos. Like, share, and subscribe. And wherever you are in the world watching this video, have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great night, great evening, and have some great luck, and please stay out of a cult. Okay, class is over. Oh yeah, let's ring the bell. Ring the bell. Ding ding, 2 bells. All right, everybody. Thank you, and have a great day. Let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
I was in the bar for a drink or two. I met a girl named Mary Lou. Her blue jeans were so tight and cut so low. Those jeans were stretched across her butt. On a belt she wore a rabbit's foot, and I couldn't help but see her camel toe. Mary Lou had a camel toe.
Means that และกลับเข้าสู่ My National Time btk1radio.com Whatever, I'll do what I want.
You're listening to Mike's Madhouse on btk1radio.com.
Worried about God. I'm afraid of what he might do if anything should happen to me.
God, but he's a robot. Without you, what could he do?
There's no limit to what he could do. He could destroy the earth. If anything should happen to me, you must go to God. You must say these words.
Dumalang, video Zuzi and ready Mike's Madhouse, more bkk1radio.com.
And now it's time for the Dumb American on Mike's Madhouse.
Back to dope tunes and stupid talk with White Boy Mike on Mike's Madhouse.